Welcome to my messy studio, everyone. My name is Mark, and I'm a professional artist and an art professor. And in this mini lesson, I'm going to talk about a very unusual pen and ink technique, drawing with a pen on rough, cold-pressed watercolor paper. I'm also going to, very quickly, I promise, plug the reprisal of my online workshop titled The Fundamentals of Crosshatching, the 6 Basic Strokes. Let's get started. Most paper designed for pen and ink is smooth, which makes sense for very fine, sharp dip pens which can catch and splatter on textured paper. However, unless you're using a fine chrome nib, rough paper actually works quite well and creates lines with a beautifully irregular, expressive quality. Besides the lovely roughness of the line, there's a huge advantage to working on rough paper, in that it allows you tremendous control over line weight. Rough watercolor paper has a lot of peaks and valleys, and with light pressure, the pen skips across the surface, hitting the peaks and missing the valleys. With pressure, those valleys become increasingly filled in, creating a heavier line. This particular pen has a medium nib on it, that on smooth paper barely produces any line variation at all, and yet on this rough paper I'm able to put down wispy, barely visible extra fine lines, and with pressure put down something close to a broad. And this line variation is easy to control, so I can put down everything in between. Rough paper also allows me to use the pen in a somewhat unorthodox way, almost like a graphite pencil. So instead of building up my values with neat cross-hatching, I can use a light, fast, back and forth scribble to build up my values. Let me draw with this pen and show you how this scribble hatching works in practice. But before I do, let me quickly talk about my fast-paced and fun-filled workshop, The Fundamentals of Crosshatching, the 6 Basic Strokes, which I'm going to be reprising starting next month. This 3-hour online workshop, designed for the beginner and early intermediate level artist, will teach you simple, effective crosshatching methods that can be applied to a variety of subject matter, such as landscape, figure drawing, and urban sketching. I'm going to cover the 6 types of hatching strokes commonly used in crosshatching, show you 3 extremely useful exercises for developing your dexterity with a pen, and lastly, demonstrate how to apply these various skills by doing a drawing of these deceptively simple geometric forms. And as a bonus, once the workshop is over, I'll give you the opportunity to submit your drawings for individual critique. This information-packed class will be useful to those getting started with pen and ink drawing or just looking to improve your hatching skill. Okay, back to the tutorial. Here I'm using Arch's cold-pressed watercolor paper and a TWSBI Eco fountain pen with a medium nib filled with Noodler's black. Because the pen puts down such a fine line on rough paper, I can start my drawing without using a graphite pencil underdrawing. To get this very light stroke, it helps to place your grip at the middle of the pen body. You can also use reverse writing here to get an even finer stroke. By the way, medium or even bold nibs work best here, since those tips glide more effectively over rough surfaces. This scribble hatching method is a very easy, fun way to draw, and is usually used in light, dry media, such as graphite. The key is not to press down and build up your lines and your contrast with many, many layers. That fuses the scribbles together and makes them less wild looking, so that over the course of your drawing you can actually achieve fairly accurate results, even though up close the drawing looks carefree and expressive. This is a fantastic technique for those of you that want to create convincingly realistic drawings, yet wish to move away from the dry academic rendering methods of cross-hatching or cross-contour hatching, and experiment with a more expressionistic style. One way of increasing the boldness and darkness of the lines is to make the pen write much wetter by priming the feed. In a piston-filling pen like this one, that's easily done by simply turning the piston a little to push more ink into the feed. This might result in a drip, so make sure you shake the pen out on a paper towel before drawing with it. In a cartridge-filling pen, this can also be done by shaking the pen a little bit to drive more ink into the feed. Here is the final drawing. I hope you agree that this is a really fun, useful technique with a lot of potential to get interesting results. And because it's done on watercolor paper, this method will work absolutely great with a layer of watercolor wash. I hope you enjoyed this mini lesson, and if you did, hit subscribe, please consider taking my workshop, and stay tuned to much more instruction, art material reviews, and other nonsense. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.